Oh God, fill us with your Spirit, humble our hearts, so that we can hear your word for us today. It's been a few years. My wife and I went. We're waiting for Chief. Video? All set? All right. We've been a few years. We went to visit Israel, and this is where we were for part of the trip. This particular rock is the rock that traditionally is the one where Jesus prepared the breakfast, laid it out for them. The fish was good, but I think she enjoyed the pizza more than I enjoyed the fish. They leave the bones in it, and the head, and all of that, and it's quite an experience. But to be in that place, where traditionally this event we're reading about today took place, it's quite important, quite moving. It affects me for the rest of my life, I know. This is where they say it was. I hope you also noticed in that video the signs. That's what one of the things that impressed me so much. Lake Tiberias, or the Sea of Galilee, is a pond. It's not that big at all. You can see right clear across it. It's not a big place. So it very quickly comes to a head. If the wind goes through there, the waves just come up, and it's a terrible place to be. Very quickly, unexpectedly sometimes. It's a small little lake. And so much of Jesus' ministry takes place around that very lake. The worship service that we have on that lake still moves me, raises the hair on my arms. Today, the reading takes place in that very spot. We don't know exactly where this story, when the story took place. It's hard to set a firm time because chapter 21 of John is obviously an epilogue, something that was added, apparently, after we finished. If we go back and read chapter 20, the end of chapter 20 says, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. It sounds like a real good ending. That may be where we wanted to end, but there was one more thing that the Holy Spirit wanted him to write. And so all of the early manuscripts, we have no doubt, even though this was something that was an afterthought perhaps, an epilogue, there's no doubt that he wrote it, that he meant it to be there. The Holy Spirit continued to work on him even after he thought he was at the end. So chapter 21 continues. Let's take a look at that. As we get into that, let's remember that what has already happened. Easter morning, Jesus has risen from the dead. He appeared to Mary. He appeared to the women on Sunday morning. And that Sunday evening, he appeared to the disciples. But Thomas was not with them. A week later, he appeared to them, and again, he made a personal appearance and appealed to Thomas. This is where, for the last 3 years, I've been preaching. The Sunday after Easter, there's always found me here. That makes sense. Pastor has been working so very hard during that week of Easter to actually have an opportunity to relax and to get some things done that got put on the back burner. I hope it's been a gift for you. Well, for 3 years, I've been telling everybody how it's a raw deal that Thomas has been getting, and I railed to the congregation about Thomas's unfair situation. Everybody called him Doubting Thomas, when actually he was not doubting at all, no more than any of the others. But today's scripture is something new, and I want to thank Dr. Mickey Anders for pointing me into a new direction with this. I didn't want to do another sermon on Doubting Thomas. He says there's a lot more going on. How about reading the next chapter? How about reading a little bit further? Chapter 21 is what we have today. Let me read that. Afterwards, Jesus appeared again to his disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and you've just seen the video. It happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, called Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. "I'm going out to fish," Simon Peter told them, and they said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and got into the boat. But that night, they caught nothing. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, "Friends, haven't you any fish?" Right. Catching it? Catching it? I've heard that so many times. You've been fishing? Catching it? I imagine Jesus asking the same thing. Did you get any? "No, Lord, we haven't." "No," they answered. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat. You will find some." And when they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." And as soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from the shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." Simon Peter climbed aboard and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the 3rd time Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The 3rd time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him a 3rd time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." This ends the reading of the word for today. Thanks be to God for the gift of his word. English professors love to catch the errors of students they make in their term papers. I don't know about Shannon. Maybe he does the same thing. They love nothing better than to catch what's called mixed metaphors. They often cause a little chuckle and a little break as they're reading the paper. Mixed metaphor. The friends and survivors of Calvin College English Department are credited with this list that I found on the net of mixed metaphors. She's burning the midnight oil at both ends. It was so cold last night I had to throw another blanket on the fire. It's time to step up to the plate and cut the mustard. She's robbing Peter to pay the piper. He's up a tree without a paddle. Beware, my friend, you're skating on hot water. Keep your ear to the grindstone. One of my favorites. Sometimes you got to stick your neck out on a limb. Two main stories in our text for today provide mixed metaphors as well. First is about fishing, and the second about shepherding. When we put the two of them together, we come up with fishing for sheep or shepherding fish. And on the back of your bulletin, I left some space there for you to think about and to comment on how you might carry these things out. How is it you're going to fish for sheep, and how is it going to shepherd the fish? We'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the sermon today. Metaphors may be mixed, but together they can provide a wonderful balance. Church today, shepherding and fishing. 7 of the disciples were gathered together in one place. We don't know where the other 4 were. I believe the disciples were still confused about what they should be doing. They had no idea how to carry out their ministry after Jesus' resurrection. Even though Jesus proved his resurrection to them, things were obviously so different they didn't know quite what to do. Perhaps they had a conversation like this. Nathanael might have asked, "Oh, we saw nothing of Jesus from Sunday to Sunday during that first week after the resurrection, and now he's disappeared again. When do you think we'll see him again?" Peter must have replied, "I have no idea. In fact, I'm getting a bit frustrated with his absence. We knew what to do during Jesus' earthly ministry, follow him around, listen to his teaching, help out the crowds. What are we supposed to do now? How do we function when he pops in and out, here and there, now and then? Furthermore, I'm tired, just sitting around waiting. I got to get out of this place and do something. I'm going fishing. Who's with me?" The other disciples were as frustrated with Jesus' absence as Peter. They all chimed in, "We'll go with you." They were all eager, I suspect, to return to something that was familiar to them. Some scholars have suggested this fishing trip was a sinful act of doubt. These disciples had been fishermen before Jesus called them from their nets. Perhaps, the critics suggest, this night of fishing meant that they had given up on their new vocation and were returning to their previous way of making a living. I prefer to think of it merely as a stress reliever, not unlike the desire that people have today to go fishing. They just want to get away from things for a while. Often a fishing trip is just an excuse to leave the stress of the workaday world and return perhaps a bit for a time to nature. The 7 of them had spent all night fishing from the boat. We can imagine them with a lantern hanging over the edge of the boat to attract the fish, and each one of them taking their turn throwing the circular nets into the water, and after each throw coming up empty-handed. If the disciples were anything like me, I think they must have been even more frustrated when by daybreak they were still fishless. Hadn't caught a thing. Nothing. No fish. All night. But in the morning, in the mist and the fog, they heard a voice calling to them from the shore. Couldn't quite make out who the lone figure was, but they heard what he said. "Have you anything to eat? Cast your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some." like most fishermen, were not likely to give up, tireless in their pursuit of fish and not going home empty-handed. Even today, fishermen seem like nothing better than trying new bait. Just open the tackle box, hundreds of different kinds of lures, as if one would be much better than another. Well, these early fishermen were just as willing to try a new spot, so they cast their nets on the other side of the boat. That's when they snagged the surprising catch. 153 large fish. It was a miracle. The nets did not break, even with such a haul. But now the fog was beginning to lift, and the miraculous catch caused John to look a little closer at this mysterious figure on the shore. He finally recognized it, said that it was Jesus. When he exclaimed, "It is the Lord," Peter, typically, immediately grabbed his clothes and jumped in the water and began to swim towards Jesus. The other disciples struggled with the boat and the heavy net fish, so they brought them both to the land. What should we make of this post-resurrection fishing expedition? You know, it does seem to reflect back to the very beginning of Jesus' ministry, when he found some fishermen and said to them, "Come after me, and I will make you into fishers of men," as it says in Mark. This analogy represents Jesus' earthly description of the work he was calling them to do. They were fishermen, and he called them to fish for people. These disciples had likely felt this was an apt description of their earthly mission with Jesus. People flocked to them around like schools of fish in a feeding frenzy. But what would be their job after the resurrection? They were confused with Jesus' off and on appearances. What were they to do without him? I believe that this experience is an acted out parable, not unlike those in the Old Testament prophets that we read. Think of Hosea, Jeremiah. The message is they were to continue to fish for people. And their post-resurrection catch would be larger than any they had during the earthly ministry of Jesus. Notice from the text that someone bothered to count the exact number of fish. 153. Many ancient scholars attempted to decipher the meaning of the number of fish that they caught that day. I tend to believe that 153 is just exactly the number of fish they caught. They were making a living, of course, selling fish. They would want to know exactly how many fish they had. John, you always count the fish that you catch. It doesn't take me very long to count to one. But Cyril of Alexander said, it's a symbolic number. Why, 100 stands for the fullness of the Gentiles, and 50 more represents the remnant of Israel, and then 3 representing the Trinity. Augustine discovered that 153 is the sum of all of the numbers. I tried this, it really is. The sum of all of the numbers from 1 to 17. Just add them up. 1 plus 2 plus 3, all the way up to 17 equals 153. Well, didn't think that was a coincidence because he proposed that 17 was a symbolic number, representing the 10 Commandments and the 7 gifts of the Spirit. Jerome suggested that there were 153 fish because there were 153 different kinds of fish in the Sea of Tiberias. Therefore, the catch was a symbol that the gospel is for everyone, for every person in the world. Now, if we accept Jerome's idea, then this fishing trip meant that the disciples were to become missionaries to the whole world. And that is, in fact, what they did. They still fished for people, but their catch now included every kind of person, and their catch was miraculously large. Today, we are still called to be missionaries wherever we are. We don't have to travel to a foreign land. Sometimes our own neighborhood is a foreign territory. Our number one task is to find creative ways to cast the net. and to draw people to Jesus Christ. The second metaphor comes while the disciples are enjoying a wonderful breakfast. Bread, fish, Jesus had prepared for them. Someone called this the last breakfast. I suspect that Simon Peter was a bit uncomfortable during this meal. He was still wrestling with his own guilt over betraying Jesus 3 times before the cock crowed on that Friday a few weeks before. That's when Jesus addresses him directly. Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Feed my lambs. Simon, son of John, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Tend my sheep. Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Feed my sheep. 3 times. 3 times Peter affirms his love, and 3 times he is charged with the personal care of Jesus' flock. This triple set of questions corresponds, of course, to the 3 times that Peter denied Christ. Now, much has been made of the verbs used for to love in this exchange. Some scholars point out that the first 2 times Jesus uses a word derived from agape. Peter's reply uses the word derived from phileo. And the 3rd time, Jesus uses phileo, and so does Peter. The conclusion often drawn is that Jesus is asking for a more noble love, while Peter offers simple friendship is all that he can give. Ultimately, Jesus accepts the lower form of love. But it is unlikely that Jesus was speaking in Aramaic, or likely he was speaking in Aramaic or Hebrew rather than in Greek. Hebrew and Aramaic are like English. They have only one word for love, and not the 3 subtle differences of the Greek language. Perhaps John, as the author of the Gospel, writing in Greek, wants the reader to consider theologically something that the Aramaic language could not adequately express. In asking the question 3 times, Jesus is not only forgiving Peter's denials for Peter's sake and affirming him for the others, but is also asking if Peter is now unconditionally ready to be his disciple and follow him no matter what the cost. Jesus is alluding to the price of discipleship, both in the word love and in the use of the shepherding metaphor. By entrusting the care of the flock to Peter several times, Jesus is bringing up the full range of duties that a shepherd has. Think of them. Pasturing, providing a place for them to eat, protecting them from predators, searching out the strays, caring for the injured, providing shelter. And I believe that Fairgreen and the church in general succeeds or fails based on how we do these 2 mixed metaphors, fishing and shepherding. A church cannot live past 1 generation that doesn't go fishing. Without the work of fishing, that is evangelism, any church will wither and die, just as a body without nourishment will wither and die. Evangelism certainly means going out to others, into the neighborhood and the community. But it also means telling the good news to our own family and our own children, relatives, casting the net, fishing at home and in the broader world. Most churches, however, are better at shepherding than they are at fishing. I think Fairgreen is no exception. We do pretty well at caring for the lambs, tending, feeding the sheep. We care for one another. We minister to our members. We get upset when certain members miss several Sundays in a row. We pray for one another. We literally, and I'm using the word correctly here, we literally feed and nurture members in times of need. Yeah, we probably could do better. But I think we do pretty well at shepherding. But what about fishing? How many of us right now are guilty of envy about the Easter crowds last Sunday? See all those people coming to church? We wish we had that many and more on every Sunday. We wish for a catch of 153 fish. The reading ends with Jesus' command, follow him. Will we? This story should convict us because we haven't genuinely and wholeheartedly taken, in fact, what the disciples did first. They went fishing. Peter said, I'm going fishing. And then the other disciples said, we will go with you. How many of us are willing to go fishing for people? You know, mathematically, I figured this out. It's not a great deal challenge. Our church would double in attendance if each and every one of us brought one more person with us. But you don't catch fish if you don't go fishing. Listen to the Lord and cast your net where He tells you. He promises the catch. Listen to where the Lord is leading you this week and in the following weeks. Where can you cast your net? Whom can you tell? Tell about Jesus first. Whether they come here or not is unimportant. That they come to the Christ is the important thing. Cast your net. Tell them of how Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit have been at work in your life. Next week we will hear more about that. Pay attention to that this week. Go fishing. Today's two stories might be seen as mixed metaphors, but they provide a healthy challenge for our church. Let us accept both. Jesus shepherding and fishing. And that's what the church is all about. Let us covenant together to fish